works pretty well. I guess not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's I think we have like 1 or 2 issues, so not too bad.
Not too bad. I mean, especially given that it goes to like 5 different places. Can I tell you the thing that pissed me off the latest?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can share this without giving away this dude's identity. Okay. Yeah, it's only his first name. So Ed Leak tagged me in a comment in Forge asking for PMax help. Some guy was like, what do I do if this, then that, whatever. And so Ed goes, hey, Kasim and Michael Nadalin are the 2 PMax heroes inside of the Forge. So I just uploaded our PMax SOP because it was more or less aligned with what the guy was asking. And then he writes back, thanks, man, very much appreciated. By the way, I went through a similar one you shared in your email list. And my thought was, good start. But it basically says that if shit happens, you need professional help, hire us. And then he goes, And I'm like, okay. So I wrote back, and it's a little passive aggressive. I actually feel bad now. I might delete it, but I guess it's already public. But I get a kick out of it. I said, we're still working on the decision tree that lists every possible event for every possible campaign type and every possible action to take. Stay tuned.
Yeah, it's I I always have a bit of an issue where, like, when we come on here, I feel bad. It's like, what do I do? Well, it depends. And it's so funny because Dave Fogel just said, I think we need a lot more control for PMax to be really good, just my opinion. I agree for sure. I wish we had a lot more control. And actually, Dave, we just had an internal conversation about this. This is one of our brain transfers internally, where we take 2 hours out of our day and we just I just got to rap about newer strategies that we're testing to the entire 107 people in our company. And one thing that was a hot topic for today was to limit the amount of, I guess I would say, budget share in PMax compared to other channels. Other campaigns inside of performance or inside of Google Ads. What I mean by that is a good rule of thumb if you're just starting off, if you're not having good performance inside of Performance Max, is, and I've said this a few times before, but a good area would be to leave it at a 20% of your overall Google Ads spend. So if you're spending, I'm just going to use a round number here, and I know not a lot of people are at this level, but it's easier for my brain to consider. If you're spending $10,000 per month, $2,000 a month, that should be Performance Max. The other 8K should be competitor, DSA, inbound, YouTube, top of funnel, YouTuber marketing, etc. Performance Max is going to do well. It does need help, and it can be supported by other channels or other campaign types. I keep saying channels, other campaign types, but it also will start to steal. But if it starts to steal, fine. If you have 2 campaign types, Performance Max and let's say Standard Shopping, and they start to steal traffic, one way or the other, and has better performance, good. That's kind of what it's designed to do. It's designed to steal what it has better performance. And if you say, hey, this had better performance and it's starting to steal, and my overall campaign's looking better and it's healthier and it's making more cold traffic, new customer sales, good. That's what you want. That's what you're trying to get it to achieve if you're going to use Performance Max. If it's 80% of your account or 60% of your account, it's kind of leaving up to chance. You're leaving yourself up to too much outside activity influencing that. Omni-channel, traffic such as Facebook or Instagram, if it's high amount of traffic but low quality, hurts PMax. High amount of traffic, good quality, helps PMax, but could help with too much where it becomes too much brand. So you really have to take kind of a CMO level approach to your Google Ads accounts and say, well, what else is going on everywhere else? How can that affect it? How much influence is it currently having, or will it have, or does it not have any? And then what other supplemental campaigns that you build alongside of it that you can control your new customer, your non-brand, your placements, your bids, your budgets, etc. So maybe not make it a majority shareholder of the campaign or of the account mix, so your media mix. Keep it in there, obviously, because it's something that we might be forced to use next year only. But understand that you live and die by Google's automated targeting, and you don't have control. So you can control 80% of what your Google Ads account is doing by making sure that PMax is only 20% of it. And if there's 10% overlap, now you sort of have 90% control. So hopefully that helps.
I have a weird idea.
Yeah.
PMax doesn't cross-pollinate. We already know from a product perspective. I wonder, though, whether or not, in terms of audiences, PMax would relegate itself to the audiences or the audience insights listed in a PMax campaign when there are other PMax campaigns with alternative audiences. So hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
You build 5 PMax campaigns, okay? The one in the middle has the audiences that you know you want to go after, your badass audiences. And then the ones on the peripherasis have audiences that you know Google's going to target for you, but that you don't really want. And then you underfund the periphery PMax campaigns and then properly fund your PMax campaign.
There's 2 things that could end up just kind of flip-flopping all of that. Search categories, what we assumed was DSA, is not. It's inbound search traffic on both shopping and search. So if you're targeting those audiences, the inbound search term that comes in may not be a part of any audience, or it might be an expanded audience that you're not targeting. That because you have product overlap is going to match the product in the feed regardless of what campaign it's in.
It doesn't matter who the audience is.
And now the campaign that has probably the most amount of ad spend and best performance just inherits that user. Yeah. So it's still weird. Now that's not to say that it couldn't happen. It absolutely could happen. But if you have like, you know, an inbound click and then a brand search and it's kind of like popping around in between each one of those, because they're sharing products, yeah, it can get a little messy.
Dave just goes, Kasim has long fingers, banana hands. All right, you ready to rock?
Let's do it.
I'm going off of YouTube chat, and
Okay.
I'll let you know when we're caught up inside of Restream. Joey, for feed-only PMax campaigns, are you still giving it the full 90-day learning phase? Or, since there are less channels to test, the learning period is shortened? P.S. I voted for John for Market of the Year.
Thank you. Is there? Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, and he corrected something, so I'm going to say it the way that he wrote it or meant to write it. For feed-only PMax campaigns, are you still giving it the full 45-day learning phase? Or, because there are less channels to test, is the learning phase shortened?
No, feed only has been now relegated in our business to very, 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 very specific, particular strategic use cases. It has to do with account history, has to do with smart shopping campaign history, had to do with omni-channel traffic. Remember, PMax is a gigantic remarketing and brand campaign, essentially what it is. So if you start a feed-only PMax campaign and it's not a upgrade from smart shopping, it will work completely different than a feed-only campaign that was upgraded from a smart shopping campaign. So that's the first thing you'll have to answer is if it's an upgrade from smart shopping, it will still regulate itself to the main 4 smart shopping inventories. And that's the name that Google likes to give for people is an inventory. It will relegate itself to the same 4 inventories that smart shopping was on. If you start a brand new feed only and you have, let's say, URL expansion off, it sends search traffic to your homepage, but also search traffic to your shopping. And now you've inherited essentially a DSA-esque version of shopping. Well, now if you have a DSA-esque version of shopping, which means regardless of your feed, what would Google dynamically target on its own because of its optimized targeting, that is going to fight your other PMax campaign if it has the same products. So it's hyper specific now. And for campaigns that have like good smart shopping performance, and all of the new PMax campaigns that have been built are not upgraded from, but there's still a lot of good traffic coming from Facebook and Instagram, and LTV is actually something that's important, and high ROAS is still a great addition to the campaign because it's going to go after just the easy, quick, fast, and cheap wins. That is still more new customers because it is having good traffic from Facebook that has not converted yet. Then yes, run feed only, but only when you've upgraded from a smart shopping campaign. So it's super hyper specific now.
I'm eating sunflower seeds and I realized this is the worst snack for a YouTube live. Like I could have gone with anything, but
wait, do you have the shell too?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on.
We have another question.
Yeah. Joey again. When you find new signals / asset to test, or product/group to segment in PMax, for each change, do you wait the full 45-day learning period before the next change?
Typically, it's about 7 to 14 days plus your time lag. But 80% of those optimizations will usually be made by day 10 plus your time lag. So if your time lag, let's say, is 3 days, it'll be 99% effective after about 10 to 12 days plus that 3-day time lag. So yes, if you say, how long does it take to optimize? It is about 14 days plus your time lag. If it's a brand new account, 60 days plus your time lag. Brand new campaign with brand new products, like no historical performance, it's going to start fresh, brand new and cold. About 60 days to really see consistency. When you're talking about changes, it's 14 days plus your time lag, but a day like 10 to 14 might get 5% better. Does it mean that it's fully optimized at day 10? No, it's 95%. You still have a little bit more optimization, but it's not going to be like, oh my gosh, now it got better. You'll usually see that starting day 10 plus your time lag. And I say plus your time lag because some time lag is like 20 days, where, yeah, 10 days is not going to make a difference. You're not even bringing in new customers that are warmed up ready to buy by day 10. That's going to happen in another 10 days.
Soren Tutu. Hey guys. Hey Soren.
Hey.
Is it still a good practice to split your products into multiple PMax campaigns based on profit, margin, or product groups?
Yes. Just make sure that your URL expansion is off and your asset groups are only going to the pages that you want those products that are attached to the listing group in that asset group are applicable for. So if you have, like, let's say belts and shorts, 2 different asset groups, URL expansion turned off in that campaign. The belts has the belts assets going to the belts landing page, and the shorts have the shorts assets going to the shorts landing page. You can do that. If you're leaving it wide open, there's no, you're going to earn a click that's going to earn a secondary click that's going to Google the brand name, and now one person that was interested in belts visited 3 campaigns. And now, no, it does not work. So we have to be very specific about it.
Yeah. By the way, quick and very selfish plug. Today is your very last day to vote for John as Marketer of the Year. So I'm dropping this into chat. If you could please vote and tell everybody that you know and love to vote. We would appreciate you forever.
I have a really big trophy. You know what's funny is I'm disheartened right now because there was another person that said, like, hey, my whole clan voted, and he has like 12,000 followers on just like LinkedIn. I'm like, man, if there was like a popularity contest, this would be it. It's not based on merit or skill. It's just based on like who's got the most followers, which I always find like disheartening because it's like, like, you know, we could have 9,000.
That's just life.
I know. It's like you have 9,000 really like awesome people that learn and like 10,000 people that heard of someone that took an action. It's like, you're the most popular. It's like, man, I mean, there's no other way to do it. But that's the part too, where it's like, I appreciate you all. I love you all here on YouTube and everyone that's been following me on, you know, LinkedIn and following Solutions 8 on all the channels. So if we don't win, it's not because of about your all's diligence and hard work. I really, really, really appreciate it. So thank you. I hope we do win.
My friend just texts me and says, "What are you eating?"
Sunflower seeds. Here, I have some corn stick sriracha flavor. I'll eat with you this way. It's not just you eating.
I'm sorry. I'm hungry. So.
Me too. It's 1:15 and I haven't eaten yet today.
Khalid Alameri. When I go to all campaigns, audience to check my customers' demographics in the last 90 days, for example, I do not see anything. The only visible part is household income, nothing else. The second part of that, the account spends a total of $600,000 yearly. I reached out to a Google rep, not helpful at all, and he said it's normal since you do not spend $5 million a year or more. Is that true?
Oh, no. No. The only time I've ever actually not seen audiences is when you're running only PMax. Then you won't see anything, which is really odd. But I also check to see what campaigns are turned on and turned off. So, for example, and I'm saying this is you, but this could be a scenario. If you're running, like, let's say 10 campaigns, and you shut everything off and you only have 3 Performance Max campaigns enabled and you check your audiences, it will be blank. It has nothing to do with your ad spend, though. It's 5 million. Absolutely not. I think we have like 2 clients to spend that. Maybe like 3. No, probably 4 now. But anyway.
It's 5.
Yeah, this is gonna get more. We got new clients, 6. No, I think it's like 5, but that means that out of 100 and like, I don't know, 70 or whatever, 80 clients, I've not seen that. So that doesn't seem right at all.
Yeah.
But I think PMax will not give you that. So check to see, you know, go back to maybe 6 months, not enable. Oh, don't do this. Don't enable all campaigns. Look at your all and enabled campaigns and then check your audiences.
Dude, if you ever went rogue, do you realize the damage you would do to the internet?
Oh my!
If you shot a video and you're like, listen, you guys, and then just like we're going back to Skags or whatever, And there's billions lost.
Right? Like, listen,
Dude, there's a
delete
guy in here
everything.
named Google Ads Gandalf.
Oh,
I know.
that's amazing.
Holy shit, he has a long question. I don't know if I'm
Cool.
going to be able to get through this Google Ads Gandalf. PMax campaign active for 6 months, suddenly lost 70% in spend and conversions without any changes in Google Ads. 3 months later, the campaign still hasn't picked up. Any tips why? One asset, max conversion value, TROAS.
Might be a stupid assumption, but did a product go out of stock that was having really good performance? Did any other channels stop spending that used to be spending? Like Facebook all of a sudden started to spend on a different product, a different landing page that's off your root domain? Is your product still all active in GMC? There's no feed issues. There's no shipping costs, no mismatch. If everything is looking completely fine and you just had a large drop off, and there's no reason you can identify it clearly, I would check site speed. I check ecom priority. I check Google Search Console to make sure that pages were de-indexed. Man, there's like 20 places I can look, but here's a small list. Google Search Console to see if you still have your core web vitals up and running well. Your products are still in stock. Those have not had a missing mobile landing page. The no GMC issues. Your feed is still enabled for shopping and free listings and for dynamic remarketing. No programs have gone unavailable in GMC. Ecom priority is still firing. No landing pages have changed. No tags have changed. No omni-channel presence has changed. People didn't just shut off their Facebook account. Check those first.
What's the best Google Ads strategy when multiple retailers sell your products? Lots of competition within brand keywords.
And if multiple retailers are selling your products, does that mean you're the manufacturer or you also sell products from another brand along with 3 other competitors? That's important to know. I'll have 2 different strategies there. So if it's something that can be chatted, drop that in here. Do you know if they're here? Like, can they continue to chat?
Yeah, chat's back now.
Okay.
I'm gonna Google Ads Gandalf has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more questions. I'm gonna skip you, bud, so we can get to some other people, and then if we have time, we'll come back to you.
Yep.
Dave says, "Wow, spam questions much." Dave, be nice. Borislav, have you had success with TikTok feeding traffic and leads?
No, actually, I've seen a massive amount of TikTok traffic and very, very, very low conversion rates. Now, it's not a lot. There's 8 accounts that I've seen this on. But for every 10,000 TikToks, I can make the same amount of sales with 300 Google, whether it be YouTube or even Performance Max. I have no idea why. It is the I wish I could screen share because I have a person that has 2 million followers on TikTok, 1 million followers on YouTube, and there's 3,000 or 4,000 users from TikTok a week and 3 sales. I don't know why.
Money.
What's that?
TikTok users don't have any money.
I think they're under 18, so
yeah, exactly.
They don't have a credit card yet.
Borislav again. First impression from EBC. Is this a good attribution solution for Google? Absent solution like Northbeam.
First impression what?
First impressions from EBC.
Oh, enhanced view conversion.
Oh, I was Googling EBC. I'm like, should I know what that means? This is how we figured out that Northbeam was underreporting view-through conversions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a problem, y'all. And first of all, we still love Northbeam. We're still big fans. But John was, through the use of this data, was able to see that there's a pretty big gap in the view-through conversion inside of Northbeam, and we're trying to help them work through that.
Yeah. And what was the original question? I'm sorry.
First impressions from EBC. Is this a good attribution solution for Google absent solutions like Northbeam?
Yes, it is. Just know that when those conversions come through, just know that those are first to Google, not to your website. So it won't be like, hey, we got the first impression or first enhanced view conversion and Facebook did not. What this means is that Someone saw an ad and purchased. What we can't tell you inside of Google is, was it new, was it returning, and where did they originally see your channel first, and not another top of funnel channel like Hulu, for example. So just know that that is something that is not the full picture, but it is saying that people that do engage with that ad is converting. However, if it's a smart campaign and it's targeting users that may be, on the site or that are not pure cold, that's where I'd give more weight. If you're targeting a Google audience that is an in-market or an affinity or a life event, and you see that as a YouTube campaign, and those people are having engaged view conversions, awesome. If it's inside of PMax and you have some brand traffic in there, you can't tell because they got to the site or they saw an ad for a reason, but you just can't tell what happened before Google entered into the sales process.
Soren Tutu, did you guys vote for John every day? Because I did.
Thank you, Soren.
Soren, appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Khalid said that he voted every day and had his team vote too.
Hey, thank you so much. That's awesome.
This isn't me. I'm not throwing shade at you, Khalid, because I love you, but I've noticed this just in the texting world. The LOL, if we repeat the L, it's just, or we repeat the O, it's just out. So like we're laughing and loud. Those are the parts that it should be like LOL. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, it's like a cavern of silence.
You know what's funny is my brain reads that as I did, and I asked all my team to vote as well, which I actually like better. So I like it. Keep going, Khalid.
Luxury Blaze says John Moran is the GOAT.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
John Lyser, new subscriber. I almost went from a good person to great person, but inflation is killing me. We appreciate you no matter what, Donald. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave Fogel, if you're spending $1,500 a month, would you do the same breakdown?
Yes, but I would also make sure that, and this is the PMax campaign discussion. Yes, $1,500 a month. I don't like PMax anyway. Usually PMax is at $3K a month and above just for PMax. So if you're using $1,500 a month, I would bolt on PMax, but at a smaller spend and see. And what's nice about having a smaller spend is you can see, okay, did views go up? What is my search categories? Is my listing groups matching my search category amount of conversions? And if it's not, it's inbound DSA. And is that inbound DSA performing better than your DSA? Good. Maybe keep all the other campaigns on and scale up your performance max because it is DSA and we'll have some dynamic remarketing built into it. So identify the pockets of areas inside of performance max that are working, compare that against your overall media mix and see where could you scale up, or if you wouldn't scale up, where could you optimize? Or maybe you have campaigns that are not necessarily helping. Look at your model comparison tool inside of the conversion attribution settings inside of Google to see first click and last click, and you'll usually kind of see which one's feeding another. And it doesn't mean that they're always going to be like 20 started here, 20 ended here. If there's like +5 and -5 and +10 and -10, that's a trend. That's kind of the way that they're flowing. So it will give you good insight as to, is PMax delivering the first click or is it delivering the last click? And if it's delivering the last click, keep that budget low and start to scale up other areas because that's where the interest is coming in.
Waleed Masood, any suggestions for PMax with URL expansion on, as from October, Google can change text, descriptions, etc. for e-commerce niche specifically?
Mm-hmm. So in October, when Google can change the text, it's only going to be for the URLs that are being expanded into. So what Google did is said, okay, you have an asset group, and the asset group has 5 headlines, 5 long headlines, and 5 descriptions. But if I choose a different page, I still have to use those generic 5 headlines, 5 long headlines, and 5 descriptions. And it doesn't work now. Now the ad doesn't match the landing page, and Google gave itself its own bad rank. So what Google says is, on the outside chance that your landing page is going to be different than your asset group, we get to DSA it. Remember the dynamic headline and then the descriptions that are in DSA? It's going to make that dynamic headline for you, just like DSA does. But the descriptions are going to just pull simply right from your site description. So if you don't like your site description, you're not going to like your ad copy. If you like your site description for that page that I can't visit, you'll like your ad copy. Or you turn your URL expansion on, or keep your URL expansion on, but exclude the pages that you don't want it to go to, like your blogs and your contact us page and those 7 pages that you're not really going to want to bring in cold, very specific traffic to a page that you want to. So a few different things, but it's not bad. Google can change text, yes, but it's only going to pull from your site title and your site description. And if that isn't good, you're not going to like it. If you love your descriptions and titles of your pages, you have no problem.
Luxury Blades. What a great name.
I know.
What's an ideal account structure look like for a furniture store who's smaller than 1 to 3 locations and has around $2K a month?
Oh, I know you wanted for you dealt with. Wait, what does an ideal account structure look like for a furniture store who is smaller, 1 to 3 locations, who has? Well, it depends. If they're a local furniture store, a few things here. A, are you counting on local traffic? B, do they have an e-commerce element? C, is a mixture of both. Like we like in-store traffic, we like phone calls, we like to have e-commerce. D, are you going outside of your local capacity, which is like a 15-mile radius of those locations? Are you going nationwide because they can sell there? And that's it. Let's start there.
What letter we were on?
Huh?
I forgot what letter we were on.
I know what I've done before. I'm like an A and 2. I'll sometimes change between numbers and letters.
George has a question here. What are the best practices for RSA and campaign structure, brand generic comp, exact phrase?
So RSA is good. Now the bad part is once the introduction of RSA came out, you usually saw the degradation of match types. So phrase and exact and broad are all going to kind of show up for about the same thing, except for broad. Broad goes really crazy broad. Phrase and exact are pretty much like broad match modified now. Close enough and has most of the overlapping words that you want. So what I usually like to do is, because you can only have 3 RSAs per ad group, make your ad group specific to your long tail broad or phrase and exact. So it's like a looser version of SCAG. Pick a theme of that category, that ad group. That ad group's theme is going to have RSAs that are about that theme. Put your phrase and exact keywords in that ad group as part of that theme. So like best kitchen towel, quality kitchen towel, those type of things. Put that in your kitchen towel ad group, and then have your RSAs be kitchen towel-esque. And then some unique value proposition, unique sell proposition, fast, free shipping, yada, yada, yada. But think of it like a one step back from SCAG. Try and imagine SCAGing broad match modified. That's what we're going to have to do. But since you can only have 3 RSAs per ad group, you can still get a pretty good coverage. And if you put in 15 ad headlines and 4 descriptions, you'll get an excellent quality score, or I guess ad relevancy score on that campaign. And then check your details of that. I guess they call them combinations in RSA. Check your RSA combinations and then swap out those non-performing headlines and descriptions. And now you have a fairly rock solid campaign. I think it probably would perform better than ETA.
Dave Fogel. I have a furniture. Dave's just trying to one up somebody. Dave, you don't know.
I have a furniture store that sells in 6 locations.
I have a furniture store on Shopify that only wants to sell in Alberta. They were on shopping, no problem, but Googlebot decided they didn't like that after 6 months. Is this doable in Merchant Center? I dealt with 3 different Google support guys, and now the account is suspended. Yes, they suck.
I'm not sure why it's suspended in Alberta.
They have a furniture store on Shopify that only wants to sell on Alberta.
Yeah, what was the error?
What error are you seeing, Dave?
Yeah, because it says Google didn't like that, or Googlebot didn't like that. Can you tell me what the nature of the error is? I'm not sure. Is Alberta not allowed shopping? I thought so.
No furniture for Albertans.
No internet for Canadians.
All right, Dave, while you're typing that, we'll move on and come back to you. Corey Lindholm. By the way, y'all, if you aren't following LinkedIn, you should. I'm dropping.
Got it. Sorry, David's shouting. He said they only want to ship to Alberta. Okay. So what was the first part? So they're not in Alberta, but they only want to ship to Alberta.
I have a furniture store on Shopify that only wants to sell in Alberta.
Yeah, and Googlebot was trying to buy in Ontario. Reach out, Dave, to GMC support. Ask to be connected to GTech. Lowercase g, capital T, ECH. GTech request to access to GTech if it's possible. Just say, is there anyone on the GTech team I can speak to? They're in Alberta. Yeah. So Googlebot's basically saying that the proc's not available and it's going to be suspended. They really only want local. As for GTech, they're a new team that I've been working with that are unbelievable. Like we had a mismatch on price and they're like, oh, I'll just tell Googlebot to scan that one instead of that one. I'm like, that's possible? They're like, yeah, it's all done. I'm like, oh, and it fixed it like 2 days before a huge sale on Labor Day this month. So see if GTech can help, because that's not an actual issue. That's a bot issue. GTech was able to also get the bot to actually scan the page from the United States server, not their India server, because the website was actually blocking India traffic. So Googlebot's like, I don't see your site. Well, yeah, we blocked it. So GTech was like, hey, I think I talked to GTech dude the first time. Second two were India. So what did they say the issue was? If you could write it out, like, I know that we're kind of going wrapping back and forth, but right off it, like, it saw this, they did this, and they said that, and then we can kind of come back to it.
Corey, no. I dropped Corey's LinkedIn into the chat, by the way. Everybody should follow Corey on LinkedIn. He posts fire-ass content that I steal all the time.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't have an idea for YouTube. I'm going to go steal from Corey. Corey says, other than Google not knowing how to use their own products, why do you think in their PMax documentation they so strongly discourage having the same products in multiple asset groups?
I think that's because they're trying to shield the people from understanding what's going on, because there's nothing that actually is consistent in going on. So having the same products in their multiple asset groups, it's a Venn diagram. So for example, if I have 5 products, and let's just use round numbers, I have 5 products, and I put that in asset group A, and I target this signal. And I make a new asset group, and I put those 5 products in asset group B, and I target that signal. If you look at your insights tab, the person that bought is found in both asset groups. That happens. They're the same targeting, because people that are interested in health are also people that are interested in fitness. People that are interested in dogs are also dog lovers, who also have the affinity of, dog owner, and those are all about the same person. So Google says, don't leave it up to who we've known about a person for some time, because that falls in and out. But it doesn't necessarily mean that this different asset group with different assets is performing better. It's not. It's more dependent upon how Google is classifying that person. An advanced user will say, I'm okay, I can contend with that. And I can see if there's a commonality between some audiences that are maybe more fixtures, like in markets and affinities, rather than like a DSK or my own list. You have to also remember Google requests at the same time. We strongly discourage you putting the same products in multiple asset groups, but add your own brand name into every asset group. So what Google wants you to see and experience is a high ROAS with minimal amount of work. So it's like, hey, just add all of your data in there and add everything into one, and you're going to get like 80% of the way there. But if you want to control your brand name, if you want to test assets against each other, if you want to shut off signals, Google's going to be like, well, crap, you got another 6 hours, I'll tell you how PMax works. They're building it for lowest common denominator, which is 80% as effective, and that's good enough for Google to build an SOP on.
Donald, related to what Corey asked, I set up 3 asset groups, same 10 or so products. One is feed only. I think once I add our audiences along with the assets, one I add the audiences along with the assets, and the third I target competitors that I bleep up.
Sort of. So feed only. Here's my question: is it a campaign that was started from Smart Shopping? That's the first question. Second question is, if you look at your Insights tab and you go to last 28 days and you click on the first search category that has the most amount of purchases, what asset group is showing up more often than the rest? You'll see like 10 conversions from people visiting or people Googling socks as a search category. And those 10 sales that came from socks are found in 4 different asset groups. Well, if you click on the 4 different asset groups, you'll say like, yes, it was found in 4 different asset groups. One had 1 impression, one had 1 impression, one had 1 impression, one had 10 sales. You're going to see those differences there. I'll give you an example, and I'm going to see if I can give us, yeah, this should work. Let's do this. Here's a really cool one. I'm going to try to block out this person's information. Yeah, this will work. Okay. I'm going to share screen. Here's a really, really, really good indicator. Google says stick them all into one, right? Well, I have a board shorts to an all converter audience because we like LTV that has a 0.89 ROAS. This is the same exact assets, just going to the all converter audience. A lot of impressions, a lot of cost. I have 0.89. Now, board shorts to the interest in demo audience, still large amount of impressions, not as much spend, but still a good amount of spend. $1,000 in conversion value, 5.58. What's the difference? Just signal. Simple signal. One's my data, one's this interest in demo. My data isn't buying. They already bought. It's out of season. We're going into winter. The people that Google said are still interested in board shows, though, those are converting at a 5.58 ROAS. So why? If Google says to stick that all into one, will I get a 3? Yeah. Is 3 good enough? Yeah. For how many people? About 80%. So I see difference every time when I segment them out, and I can turn on and turn off specific signals. Now, it won't be 100% effective, but it'll move the needle to where I want it to go as much as I possibly can, so that my clients like crank up more sales than I can. Because if they say crank up more sales, and I'd be like, yeah, you paid me to bill it once and I did it, and now we just get what we get. They're like, so I don't have to pay you anymore. And you're like, you're right. So that's why agencies can't exist with that model.
Back to the Google Ads Gandalf. This is in reply to your response to his question. His brand manufactures its own products.
Okay. If you manufacture your own products, you can actually send a request to those other manufacturers to stop bidding on your own brand name. This is the only way that we found to do it. We have a client that sells in like Macy's and other retailers, like big box retail stores too. They put our cost per click on our own brand up to like $12 to $13 a click. It was ridiculous. And each time I would invest in top of funnel, we get more orders from our retailers. What does that tell you? Well, I'm driving more demand, but they're executing on other products. So it is more like, don't get lawyers involved and send cease and desist, but just reach out and say, hey, there's going to be kind of like the same way that you would have a map pricing, minimally advertised pricing is enforceable. It's the same thing about brand copyright use and trademarks. You're not allowed to use our brand name or bid on our brand keywords. Any affiliate network you go to, let's say Share Sale, if you look at, can I bid on the brand name of that product? They explicitly write in a huge contract with a paragraph long. You are not allowed to bid on our brand name, misspellings of our brand name inclusion of other keywords. Like, they are very, very well thought out that way. That's the only true way to do it. If you do manufacture your own products, is to say you're still allowed to buy these products from us and market them. You just have to have no trademark in your keywords you're bidding on or your ad copy, and the trademark is the brand name. It's up to you how you want to navigate those waters, but that's the only real way I've seen it. It's not a solution within Google. You're not going to Google yourself into them paying less for it. It's not possible.
Corey Lindholm. You guys noticing the clicks plus views attribution model, Northbeam preferring to give tons of rev credit to Facebook remarketing campaigns, maybe too much?
Yep. Yeah, the click and views attribution model, that's actually what's interesting is Northbeam was built before Performance Max. It was built for shopping, search, and kind of the 80% of the areas that people were using Google for. So when the view model was skewed artificially towards models that were focusing on prospecting, which is true. If you can't give a view to a search, you can't give a view to a shopping. You can, but 1 out of 99% of the time does someone Google something, see a shopping ad, and then navigate to the site later and be like, I remember seeing it here. That doesn't happen. So yes, it's true. So this model with Northbeam was now moving back towards more prospecting, and it is algorithmic, and it is supported by data, and it is supported by server-side cloning. There's a lot going on behind the scenes that's actually extremely intelligent. It's not just like, give it there. Like, there's a lot, but it's not perfect. And so what happens is your click and view attribution set of Performance Max does not change. Your number stays the same. Google came out and said, here's the views, here's the clicks. Well, why did Northbeam change between click and views? Well, those click and views that are driving organic traffic, direct traffic, and other view conversions for Performance Max is scooped all up and thrown at Facebook. And that's what we're correcting now. It's incorrect. It's given all of the view attribution to any channel that has been predisposed inside of the Northbeam's application to include the prospecting element, which Performance Max does not. So that's what they're modeling right now.
How many words can John say without taking a breath?
296. I have no idea.
20% guideline. Is this new? I imagined you had more on average based on your content this year.
Yeah, I did. I had a lot more. I had a lot more on Performance Max. It was about 50. 50 was the average. Now, here's the fun part: is that 50 was amazing or really struggling. And so what we did is we found out when we had a baseline at 50, and we either kept it there or we had to reduce. And then when we kept it there, we found out, well, why is it there? And then we had individual use cases per account. Well, we can have 50% of Performance Max because we're remarketing users from other channels that when I stopped Performance Max, the other channels were hurt. What does that mean? Well, you have a lot of different audiences on Facebook that are all getting warmed up. And when they Google your brand name, you hide, and Performance Max would just half the account. And it doesn't necessarily retarget those people. So your Facebook, you just took out dynamic remarketing out of your Facebook account. That ends up hurting that. Google looks better on its own, but the client loses. So I want to make sure that Google looks good, but also the client looks good. And so if Performance Max started to get a little bit too much repeat, well, now our CAC's suffering. Our ROAS looks great. Is the client happy? Yes or no? If no, we need to get more new. Is it a HIPAA compliant company like medications? Yes, we have to pull back. Is it no? Upload customer list bid more aggressively or only for new customers. So 50% meant that I have more exposure than what I can quickly adjust for. 20% means I can lean on my laurels as a good marketer and maybe 80% effective, exactly where I want it to be. And the 20% is the enigma. If it goes good, crank it up. If it goes bad, maybe reduce or even cancel. So 20% allowed us to give us a starting point that is going to be 80% of what we want rather than 50% of what we hope. So hopefully that gives you a good insight as to why.
How do you think people from Boston say CAC?
CAC. Yeah, the CAC. What's the CAC and the CAC?
The CAC and the CAC. The CAC and the campaign. Corey, then have you guys tested top of the funnel versus bottom of the funnel PMax structures via negative keyword lists, expansion URLs, etc.?
Yeah, because you can't. I mean, we did negative keyword list. I've only had. I've tried on one account. I can't get negative keyword list. There's an amazing person out in LinkedIn land that I talk to a lot. Very, very, very intelligent marketer. His name is Gert Groot. So hopefully you don't, hopefully it's not something I'm just like outing this guy. Amazing marketer. We rap back and forth on strategy all the time. He's awesome. He said he had the team at Google add a negative keyword list to the PMax campaigns. Then he adds and subtracts the negative keywords from PMax from that list that is applied to the PMax campaigns. I'm like, that's brilliant, genius idea. I tried it, never worked. They're like, I added it and I go in the negative keyword list, it was not there, so it just would never show up for me. So we had to kind of go back to the old way of like asking them to do a campaign by campaign, which sucks. But he's had really good success with it. The other part that I would say is interesting is know that now the search categories, the native keywords, applies to your shopping and your search. So know that native keyword list is going to stop shopping ads and search ads inside of PMax. But what if you had a negative keyword list inside of your Performance Max that's going to affect your shopping campaign, but then you also start a standard shopping campaign on low priority, a standard shopping campaign on a high priority, and you also use keyword sculpting there. Now you're developing a PMax and 2 different standard shopping, doing 3 different layers of sculpting could be amazing. So yes, it is. But the other part that you have to identify, and this is where you have to know your customer path through the entire journey of their lifetime with you, is if you can't tell me why that is searched, you can't negate it. Anybody that's been around the block for the last decade on standard shopping knows that a lot of times those search terms don't really make sense. The ones that convert, you're like, well, that shouldn't have happened. That keyword has nothing to do with anything on our website, but I got a conversion. That still happens in PMax. And if it's brand, why? Did they see your YouTube video? If you did, you're stopping your campaign from earning the click that you paid to earn. So just know that the negative keyword is a little bit more susceptible on PMax to faults. My opinion would be if it's very, very, very heavily proven out on non-PMax campaigns, you can mimic it. But don't test on PMax what you're not used to testing on non-PMax.
Soren is
sorry, URL expansion. Yes, URL expansion. Just know that your shopping and your search are going to be able to go anywhere they would like. I'm sorry, not your shopping. Your search campaigns, your DSA essentially will allow you to go anywhere you like. So good rule of thumb is treat URL expansion like you would a DSA campaign. Your dynamic ad targets, enter them manually by excluding the pages you don't want them to go to or turning them off and building it via asset groups. But just inherit your DSA thought process in your URL expansion.
Soren's asking if we have a one-on-one mentoring program. Kind of. We
You won't like it.
Yeah, I was going to say we built John's timeout at $2,500 an hour because people were paying us $1,500 an hour and then $2,000 an hour. So every time somebody starts to pay it consistently, we increase it because the truth is we can't afford to let him leave his cave.
I have 29.8 hours of meetings a week. So 30 hours a week, the 40-hour work week, I'm in meetings. So if someone is going to need that time, they're going to have to pay what our clients pay per month for that time. That's how we kind of bill it out.
Soren, go talk to Corey Lindholm, though. I think, Corey, you do one-on-ones, don't you? Corey's wicked smart. He'll help with your CAC.
Oh, man, that was right in the line right there of danger.
Yeah, I'm on the right side of it, though. Waleed, local campaigns are converting to PMax. Any suggestions on what to look after? Should we upgrade local campaign to PMax or launch a new one?
Yeah. So this is the oddity. We've even tested running a local campaign-esque like we did with feed only. We haven't tested enough yet, so it is to be determined. But we kind of just took a local campaign that was turned into Performance Max, deleted all the other assets that just didn't run. My opinion is I think they're getting rid of local campaigns. I do. I think they're guising it under the transition from local to PMax, but it's really just the degradation of local. I honestly think that. You're taking a PMax campaign and sticking on local. Think about what local campaign. Local campaign is YouTube, it's display, it's maps. So like Google My Business. I do get a little bit of search, but instead of a search ad, it's Google My Business that pops up instead of your search. So all they do is just take your local campaign and add display and discover, or add discovery and add more search listings, and then say, oh, good enough. So they just blended the two together. My opinion is, and I haven't seen it yet, so it is still to be determined, but my hypothesis is traditional local is dead. And Google is just saying like, yeah, but why wouldn't you want to get a search, click, and then also see the add to or the driving directions, the store visits, and all the other stuff that you inherited? And the short answer is, well, shit, you're kind of right. That may actually be slightly better for the client in the long run, but in doing so, we just kind of sacrifice local ads for that test.
Dave Fogel, is PMax really any good if you just want to sell products in your area, or should I dump it and go with DSA, search and display?
Give me 1 second.
I feel a screen share coming.
I might. Let me just see.
All right. While you're doing that, Dave asks, have you guys ever thought of inviting people to the call to ask questions over video chat? I think Dave's trying to get on our show, John.
Hey. No, I'd still run a so local inventory is coming to PMax. I don't think it's in just yet. That's what I'm looking for. If local inventory comes to PMax, yes. If not, no.
Borislav, final Q, if you have time. In what cases do you use position pinning? I seem to be having high ROAS sometimes when I micromanage RSA.
I've actually very, very, very rarely use position pinning. Here's the bad part is if you have a campaign that has high CPCs and is high competitive and positioning is important to you, my opinion is to not pin, because that not pinning is going to give you an excellent ad score rather than a good, and you're going to pay less for that positioning. Now, if you say, hey, there's immense amount of traffic, I'm capping it at $2 cost per clicks, my brand name is something that I do want those impressions, then yes, pin it. Or if you're doing more of a SCAG-S model, then yes, pin it. I said SCAG-S in case that didn't come clear. If you're using a single keyword ad group type model, then do pinning is completely fine. It depends on the situation. Mass amount of traffic, high volume, low cost, pinning's fine. low amount of traffic, high placement, and not wanting to pay $20, $30 a click when you could pay 12 to 13, then don't pin. You'll get a better rank unpinned.
Tom Breeze, y'all. Tom is one of the world authorities in YouTube.
Hey, that's right. You talked about him before. Tom's gonna, I guess, meet you.
meet you, yeah. Tom, are you gonna be at TNC? For some reason, I think you are. We were talking about hanging out with you in Depeche, I think. No, you're gonna be at Meat Market in Germany. Sorry, I forgot. Tom created this SaaS product for YouTube that's flipping amazing, man. I can't wait
cool.
to show everybody. Tom
I can't wait to see it.
Best practices for discovery ads.
Yeah, so I actually have been testing the new discovery ad with a feed, and that's what's kind of cool is the discovery ad with a feed for e-commerce, and we tend to stray more e-commerce just because we're 70% of our client base is e-commerce. So the e-commerce version of discovery ads, so discovery ads with a feed, what I found to work the best is actually the in-market audiences, a little bit better than affinities. DSK. Which is, the old school display search keyword. So the people that are interested in specific products or have recently searched on Google have, for some reason, they have good performance, but not at scale. So the in-market audiences that Google is using, their own, not the custom ones, but their own in-market audiences, those have a lot of great growth opportunity, low CPCs, and actually some fairly high engagement, some pages per session. So what I found though is for discovery ads, when I can target a little bit broader of an audience, like let's say all the in-markets and affinities of an audience inside of Google Ads that they have, not a custom one, and then use more, this is gonna be bad, not clickbait, but more taboola and Outbrain type of content, where it's like, is this the best hair tie? And that those type of things that can be a little bit more more exciting and interesting. Think about like old school Facebook. Where it was like content, remember like the pixel content clicks that you would get with people that would click on a piece of content that drive to the site and you'd earn those clicks. We're kind of getting back into that now with discovery, which is high volume in market because it shows good intent. I still like the action campaigns for discovery. So maximize conversion value seems to work better longer term. You'll see that time lag, the dates between the conversion by conversion time and the conversion by conversion click crisscross because people that started to enact on day one started to buy on day 30, and you'll see that kind of a rolling 30-day average. But discovery ads seem to do really well with the high volume, low CPC click. Is if you're not really focused too much on CAC or CP or ROAS, they do well. The bad part about this though is they are as effective at tracking as Facebook or YouTube. They miss out a lot of those conversions. We will see the engaged view through conversion for 30 days. We will see a click engaged conversion for 90 days, depending. But then Google says, yeah, but use data-driven attribution. We know that there's at least, let's say, 5 to 7 paths before a person converts on all channels. You sometimes can lose out on the, hey, what really happened. So if you wanted to use a separate conversion action, develop a custom conversion action, clone your purchase, and then use a first click attribution on that custom conversion action, use a campaign level conversion targeting, and then stick that on your discovery and crank it up and give it enough time, enough ad spend, usually about 10x your target CPA per day as a daily ad spend. So 100, let's say $10 conversions times it by 10, $100 per day, give that more about a month. And you're going to start to see that your CPA is going to drop fairly quickly and your conversions are going to climb fairly quickly, but only when you're looking at conversion by conversion time. If you look at conversion by conversion click, look at the overall sequence, because on 20 days later, you're going to start to see conversions happen on day 1, 2, and 3.
Nice. And Tom is going to TNC and
hey.
Yeah, so if you're going to TNC, go find Tom Breeze. You'll know him because there's 13,000 people who go to TNC. Tom has the best hair of any human alive. And you can walk through, like, there's always like a small stream of wind blowing, even when there's not.
Yeah. But that's high praise coming from a man with your hair. So that would be interesting to see. Like, I know.
Yeah. No, I mean,
like I can't do that. I have to like cut strips of paper and put it on my head.
Gabby, hey guys. First of all, great content. Thank you, Gabby. I've been lurking and watching as much as I can. I have a question for a new ad account. Leads, not e-commerce. Do you recommend PMax for start or other type?
No, I wouldn't do PMax for leads. It's heavily spammed still. Google is just kind of like dancing around the issue, but long story short, if it starts to go good, it then can go bad, or if it starts out bad, you got to wait long for it to go good. My hard opinion, stay away from PMax for lead generation unless you have something so custom that people are going to take a while to go through. So my lead gen PMax campaigns are people that are like designing their own 3D buildings or designing their own kitchens, like things that people can't just like hop in and spam. Like it takes like 20 minutes to go through 5 sequences. But if it's like a first name, last name, email, phone number on a form, you're going to get click farmed. So just stay away from PMax for the time being.
Dawn. Does it make sense if I have 50 to 70 products for PMax to set multiple asset groups by like products, or just put them all in one asset group?
You're going to have same performance either way. Honestly, the thing that's going to change is what you do afterwards. So if you stick them all in one asset group and you have mediocre performance, well, now how do you increase performance? Well, what sold? Well, these sold. Now your only choice is shut them off, the products that didn't sell, or hang tight. So by diversifying yourself in your asset groups, you're allowed to make yourself that step 2 that you're going to have to do anyway. So just know that, think about, okay, if this goes bad, what do I do? If this goes good, what do I do? Your answer will tell you how you need to segment out your asset groups.
It looks like Soren's going to hire Corey. That makes me happy. We made that
Sweet.
connection. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Connecting people. Do you still use standard shopping? If so, when do you use it?
Yeah. We use standard shopping a lot. Standard shopping is very, very good for non-returning customers, good cold traffic, good non-branded performance. It works amazing. The difference between standard shopping and PMax shopping, though, is PMax inherits the DSA element and then gives it to your shopping ads, whereas your shopping ads only inherit your feed attributes and give it to your shopping ads. So just know that those are 2 things. Those are 2 major differentials. If you're like, hey, my feed is amazing, my search terms on standard shopping are good, you're probably not going to have better performance on PMax. Start PMax without a feed and run it in addition to your shopping.
This is one of the best jokes I've ever heard. Right? Soren. Yeah. John also has the best hair. Wait. That's why they're taking it away.
I always like to say I would donate it to Locks of Love, and I'm just a great person. I just can't grow hair.
We're at time. Appreciate all y'all, and we'll see you next Saturday.
Thanks, everyone.
No,
take care.
Friday.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.